Mesh had just a few minutes ago, I had a kind of a related quote, and I think it's from an anonymous person. When something bad happens, you have three choices. You can either let it define you, you can let it destroy you, or you can let it strengthen you. So very welcome to the Toastmasters session this evening. We look forward to having everything running reasonably on time and to finish around about 9:45. So to start the meeting, I am going to get each of the participants to talk about their role. And we're going to start with the timer, and the timer this evening is Martina Breen. And I have asked each of the people taking roles, now not the speakers, but the people taking roles, I've asked them, what fear have you not yet conquered and how do you plan on dealing with it? And Martina's response was that she's changed her relationship with fear. It used to cripple her, but now she feels her fear. So no matter what it is, so when it presents itself and she makes friends with it, and that way it's still nerve-wracking, but she breathes to it and it actually disappears. So she's still terrified to jump out of an airplane, but she's doing a skydive. Skydive is on her bucket list. So Martina, you might tell us about the role of timer this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster. So I'm the timer for the evening. So as in Toastmasters, everything is timed to keep us prompt and part of the training in public speaking. So at first I have downloaded some, so I will have table topics that will change at 1 minute, 1 minute 30 and 2 minutes. I have for the speech timer that will show the green, orange and red. And we have the evaluation timer that will show the clock as well. So the yellow is for the first light that comes on, the green is the second, and the red is sorry, is that the right order? Yes. Sorry, green, yellow, and red, I beg your pardon, for each of the timers, whether it's topics, evaluations, or speeches. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
So our grammarian this evening is Siobhan Fitzgerald, and I asked her the same question. And her greatest fear is erythrophobia, which is the fear of blushing, and her contest speech is all about it. And someday soon, she says she'll deliver a speech with no makeup on. Maybe, definitely. Siobhan Fitzgerald.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. So this evening I'm the grammarian, and I've chosen a word of the night as part of my role. I came across this word during the week and I thought it was very interesting and very nice to say. And I really didn't understand what it meant. When I looked it up, I thought, this is a word we could easily be using more often. So the word is extemporaneous, and what it means is unrehearsed, impromptu, spontaneous, ad-libbed, or off the cuff. And I thought it applies so well to our topics sessions. So an example of how to use it is in the topic session of our Toastmaster meetings, we're expected to speak, or we're expected to give an extemporaneous response. And another part of my role will be to take note of crutch words, how few we're going to use, because I've only counted 2. So I will be counting how many ums, ahs, or if there's other crutch words such as like, I suppose, or there may be others that I'll notice throughout the meeting. And a third part of my role will be to take note of particularly nice turns of phrase or nice language that's used throughout the meeting. So that's my role, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much for that, Siobhan. Our next role player tonight is Anna Howard, and Anna is the general evaluation for the meeting. And I've asked the same question: what fear have you not yet conquered, and how do you plan to deal with it? And Anna's is the fear of choking on a tablet. Silly as it sounds, and I'm presuming she means a small little tablet, not a tablet that you connect with the internet on it. But anyway, one day she got this idea into her head and she hasn't been able to swallow a pill ever since. And she thinks it comes down to managing stress better, calming yourself down. And that's something she's constantly working on through yoga, breath work, mindfulness. Fingers crossed, eventually it'll work. Anna, we'll get you to give details about your role of general evaluation this evening.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Hello, everyone. The purpose of the general evaluation tonight is to evaluate everything that takes place throughout the meeting. During the meeting, I will take notes on everything that happens and doesn't happen, obviously. I will also evaluate each participant on the meeting program, and I will look for good examples of preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, and performance of our duties. At the end of the meeting, I will deliver my report. And I do have a little friend here with us for a little while, so that's why my camera is turned off. Sorry about that. But either way, thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much for that, Anna. Now, before I introduce our final role player, I just want to mention that I'm Toastmaster for the evening, and my job is to keep the meeting going smoothly and to ensure that everybody gets introduced, every action that we've promised to do takes place, and that we finish at a reasonable time. So now to introduce our Topics Master of this evening, it's Antoinette Gately, and Antoinette was given the exact same question. And Antoinette's response is, if I can find it here. Deirdre, I would still have a fear in relation to public speaking, but thanks to Toastmasters, I'm improving all the time. Thank you. So Antoinette, if you would give us your details of your Topics Master role and start the topics session. I'll hand over the gavel to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And can I just check with you, Madam Toastmaster, will I run this up until about 9 o'clock, or what is the timing?
Well, the plan is that, wait, let me see, I'll just check the time here. The table topics are on for 35 minutes, so until 9 o'clock makes, hold on now, I'd say 9, let's see, let me double check this here. I'm just checking our, I would say, to bring it up to 9:45, 8:45, 8:45, and then at that point we can have a few minutes break and we can come back with some more topics if we have free time.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, I'm here this evening as your Topics Master. And the purpose of Table Topics is to encourage the members to speak on a topic that they don't know about, and it gets you to think on your feet, and you don't have the luxury of planning in advance what you're going to say, and it's a extraneous, I'm not saying that properly now, I'm sure, Siobhan, response that's required. Often you are called on to give an opinion at work, or you might want to stand up at some function you're at and want to say a few words. So speaking in Table Topics is actually great practice for something like that. So I will invite people in turns to speak on a topic, and they have 2 minutes, and Martina has kindly introduced a new method this evening, which I think will be good, because as timer myself, I was realizing that people weren't actually hearing the timer. So it'll be good that people will be able to watch the screen and see the times this evening, and they'll know when their time is up. You're encouraged to speak for 2 minutes if possible. And then if you want to have an add-on, that'll be for 1 minute extra. And I will be keeping an eye on the screen. So if there's anybody that wants to do an add-on, I'll watch out for you. So the topics I've prepared this evening are very varied, and I hope that you'll enjoy them. Okay. We all know at the moment how important it is to look after our well-being. And one thing that's recommended for us all is to pay attention to the present moment. That's to your thoughts, to your feelings, and to the world around you. When was the last time that you paid attention to the present moment? I'll call on Siobhan, please.
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. Paying attention to the present moment is something I've certainly become more conscious of over the last while. I suppose even in terms of education, mindfulness, being in the moment, grounding, all of these terms and activities are forming more of our daily practice at school. Now it's coming to me the most recent time that I really felt like I was in the moment. Yesterday was such a beautiful day, and the sun was certainly shining in our patch of the world. But we were very lucky to have a teacher at school yesterday who really loves yoga and has been dying to have the opportunity to bring the students outside to do yoga. We don't have huge indoor facilities, but we have fabulous outdoor facilities, I suppose. So we had just invested in new yoga mats, and out we went, laid out our yoga mats on the ground. I don't know much about yoga, but we had the most beautiful, relaxing session. And I was never more grateful for the outdoor environment that we have at school, because we were able to stretch out on the mats, to feel the sun warm on us as we were taking deep breaths, and to hear the sound of the birds around us. It is really such a powerful feeling to be completely in the moment. It definitely heightens all of your senses and completely relaxes you and makes you ready for any kind of eventuality that would happen during the day, and certainly prepares you, I think, to be able to even speak extemporaneously on any matter that somebody might bring to your attention as the day goes on. Definitely well worth taking the time to be in the moment and to open yourself up to all the sensory experiences that brings. Thank you, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you. Have we any follow-ons? Okay. In the same area of well-being, another recommendation is that giving to others is good for you. It may be that you do something nice for someone, or you volunteer some of your time. Would you agree with the statement that giving to others is good for you? And can I ask that of David, please?
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. Giving to others is good for you. Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. It's certainly something that years ago when I was younger, or a small child, I would struggle with that concept. But no, but definitely as I have got older and matured, and absolutely, it feels nice to be able to help somebody. It feels that I've been fortunate enough in my life to enjoy good health and comfortable living standards that it's important to share what little we have in some cases to somebody less well off, and it's good for well-being, and I think this is something that Ireland as a nation is generally good at. I just remember a speech done by someone in the club some years ago that Ireland ranks top in a league of goodness, of per capita. We donate more to other countries than our counterparts elsewhere in the European Union. So that's what enhances Ireland's reputation on a global scale, but on a more micro level, yes, it is good for one's well-being to donate, and definitely we've seen that during the pandemic when clubs, societies, and charities were when fundraising was hampered, that we all adapted and donated through platforms like iDonate and GoFundMe, and that charities didn't lose so much money. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. And welcome, Aidan. It's good to see you. Now, are there any follow-ons there? Okay. Restrictions are now eased and we can travel around our own county. The first place that I wanted to visit was Slieve Bawn, which is down below Roscommon town. Where was the first place that you most wanted to go? I'm going to ask that to Charles, please. Charles, can you hear me? No, I don't think Charles can hear me. Okay, let me see. I'll pass that topic. Francis, would you mind taking that topic? Sorry, can people hear me?
My father and sister are. I have hardly seen them. I've seen them once since about last October. So it's a great opportunity to see my father. He's 84 now, and every opportunity I can have is important because he may not be around for long, or even though he is very healthy. But it's also great to see my sister, and it's great to sit down and talk. And I have found there's a greater connection now with my father than there was before this
Sorry, can I just check with people, or is it just myself that isn't hearing?
I can't hear anything either.
Yeah, I think he's frozen.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now, Charles?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Oh, sorry, Francis. Sorry. The connection
it's okay.
The connection is breaking.
Is my connection breaking?
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry about that.
No problem.
Thank you for your contribution. Charles, would you like to take up that topic? I can read it. I can read it. Yeah, I'll read it for you again. Restrictions are now eased and we can travel around our own county. The first place that I want.
Could you give me somebody else? I have to go for a minute.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine, Charles. Thank you.
Okay,
I might move on. Oh, Deirdre, thank you.
I want to go to see my hairdresser.
We all agree. For ourselves, I mean.
Yeah, I've had my hair cut very, very short for so long that I have no idea how to deal with it. It's curly, but it's not the nice curls, fat, lovely, delicious curls. It goes frizzy. I don't know whether to comb it, to leave it uncombed. I've tried mousse. I've never normally paid any attention to my hair. I'm lucky if I brush it after I come out of the shower when it's so short. But now I have to do things. Otherwise, I'm looking as though I'm about to blow like tumbleweed down one of those westerns. That's what my hair is exactly like when it's allowed to go its own way. So I can't wait to get to see my hairdresser. Thank you, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, Deirdre. My daughter can't wait for the non-essential shops to open. Do you think shopping is a healthy form of happiness? Anna, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master. Difficult one for me, I must say. No, I don't. But I also think that for a lot of people, especially nowadays, it is an essential way of blowing off steam. It is something that they do in order to, I suppose, relax, unwind from their daily troubles and the stress that their jobs and schoolwork and family and everything really are causing them. I personally tend to do that myself, especially back when I lived in Poland, because it was much more accessible. There, I lived in a city, so shopping was just everywhere, I suppose, wherever you went, around every corner. Whereas in Ireland, it is a little bit different most of the time. You're in the countryside. The shops aren't as, I suppose, varied. There isn't as much to choose from. And now with the pandemic, I suppose the way we shop has changed altogether. And the way we see shopping and the way we approach it has also changed. So I think maybe in the next few months, my answer will be different still. But at the moment, it is what it is. So thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Anna.
Annette,
Yes, Francis.
I'll just be brief. My experience of shopping is like that of any drug. There's a high.
Francis, I think we've lost you again. Francis, I can come back to you later if we can see if the connection, but I can't hear you at the moment.
Can I do a follow-on?
Yes, please. Thank you, Charles.
Well, as for clothes shopping, I'm not a big fan of, but if I go into a bookshop, I could get totally lost, and it brings me to a different world. I just go through the different books, and from fiction to bios, and I could spend all day in the bookshop just rooting through it, and okay, all day might be a slight exaggeration, but I just love going around and just read and trying to pick a book I'm going to buy, and I could spend half an hour just picking the right book, and then I head up towards the counter, and then I catch another book in the corner of my eye, and then I go over and see that book, and then I decide, will I buy this one or will I buy that one? And usually after big debate, I buy the two of them. So my hobby when I go shopping is bookshops. Forget clothes shops, me bookshops. So that's me.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles. In the pursuit of happiness, do we tend to forget about our health? And can I give that to Aidan, please?
Hello, folks. How are you? Sorry, I'm late here. And actually, I won't be able to stay on for the duration either. I have to pick up one of my young lads from football training this evening, who's back this evening, eagerly awaiting it. So I have to go at about 9:15. So, sorry, can you just repeat the question again?
No problem.
Yeah.
In the pursuit of happiness, do we tend to forget about our health?
Well, seeing that I work in the healthcare sector, I definitely think that would be the question. It's been a hugely difficult year for many sectors of society, and I would say probably the healthcare sector has been the field that's been challenged the most on all levels. So yes, I think so. It's been so demanding for all people throughout society for the last year in particular, I guess, that yes, it's just over for so many people, and the fact that the shops are closed and all only really essential retail or essential services opened. I think it's people have kind of forgotten, and I think that the long-term effects would be tough. But hopefully it'll give people the opportunity to think about their lives and maybe not think of it as such a rat race in the future, and begin to find that family should bring and friends. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Aidan. Deirdre.
Just one more, Antoinette. One more topic.
Siobhan. Siobhan, do you want to do an add-on? Siobhan?
Yeah, I just was interested in your topic there. Can you hear me,
Yes.
Antoinette?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yes,
Antoinette,
I can hear
can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Hello?
I can hear you, Siobhan.
We
Yes,
can hear you.
Antoinette, I was okay.
I think we're losing you, Siobhan.
I was interested in your topic because I thought the way it was phrased, I thought it kind of presupposes that we are all.
I think we've lost you, Siobhan.
Can you hear me?
You
Yeah.
keep coming. Yeah, I can hear you now, but
Yeah, maybe I'm in and out.
yeah, a little bit.
I can hear you, but I think there's a delay.
May have difficulty.
I'm coming and going. Am I?
A little bit, yes.
Will I try again?
Try once
Or
more.
I'm
Try
happy
once.
to leave it if. Yeah, no, I leave it.
Okay, thank you, Siobhan.
Okay, I was going to say that maybe all of us are not. Thanks.
Will I do one more, Deirdre? Okay. A lot of towns and cities around Ireland have got money to regenerate and bring life back to the centres of the town. And Roscommon Town is one such town, and they have started work now on their regeneration project, and they're hoping to create a pedestrian area in the centre of the town. If you could decide how the money was going to be spent, what would you like to see in the centre of your town? And I'll give that to Samesh, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master. This topic would be something that I probably will not be able to speak extemporaneously. Anyway, I will give it a try. I would say something for the kids. I think that's the best thing to do in the center of the town. Have places built where kids can play, a lot of slides and seesaws, and maybe some place where they can play in the water, for example. Things like that. I think the things where the kids can enjoy, the family can come and have a good time. And also for the youngsters, I would say, some facility for the youngsters, playgrounds, big playgrounds, hurling, Gaelic. Everyone would come and enjoy. I think that's the most important thing. Have a big stage and ask people to come and perform the stage. The area of the town should be quite big, I would say, for that to happen. But these are the things that I would recommend. Thank you very much, Madam Topics.
Thank you very much, Samesh.
Now, before Antoinette hands me Madam Topics Master hands me back to Gavin, I want to turn one question on her, and I want to ask her, what would you like to see in the centre of your town?
Well, it's a very interesting question because we've had a lot of debate about it in Roscommon, and trying to manage, I suppose, the businesses. They hate to see the town being all ripped up now, and because it's business is hard enough at the moment, even to get into your local shop or to your butcher or anywhere, and the whole main street dug up and machinery everywhere. But the long-term aim is to get the centre of the town develop it and hopefully see an improvement. And I would like to see a place for people. I'd like to see a place, like Samesh said, for children, for families. But I think we also should have something maybe to donate the town or mark the town. Roscommon would be a very historic town, and we have a jail in the centre of the town. And I'd like to see maybe some links to the past to try and manage that with the obviously development, and we're all moving forward. But if we could keep it the historical market town that it always would have been known as. So to manage that and to manage the businesses and what they need now as well in order to help them when they open up again, and to make it an attractive town. And if you are passing through on your way to Galway or Mayo or the bigger touristy counties, that you may stop and say, this is a nice place to stop and to maybe get something to eat. So that's what I would like to see in the centre of the town. Thank you.
Now I'm taking the gavel back. And we'll take a break now in a minute, and our 5-minute break will actually be approximately 10 minutes, and we'll all be back at 9. But just to leave you with something humorous before we go, if I can find it here now, just another quote. And this quote is again, it seems to be an anonymous quote, and it's something on the same line. Why do bad things happen to good people? That only happened once, and he volunteered. So you might need a minute or two to think about that, but I really enjoyed it. So anyway, if you'd like to take a break now, and we'll see you back at 9 o'clock. If you want to stay on and stay chatting, feel free. But otherwise, this is your chance to get a cup of tea, coffee, or glass of water. Talk to you in a few minutes.
Giving, receiving, and applying feedback. The purpose of this project is to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. The overview is to choose any topic for your first speech from 5 to 7 minutes. After your speech, carefully review feedback at a different club meeting, present 5 to 7 minute speech.
Thank you very much for that, Francis. So David Dolan with a speech entitled Springtime and Lambing. Springtime and Lambing, David Dolan.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Springtime. When does it begin? Well, there is the meteorological standpoint that divides the seasons into 3-month segments, and they say that spring begins on the 1st of March. And then there's the astronomical standpoint, where depending on the Earth's rotation around the sun and the aspect of the sun on the northern hemisphere, that they say that springtime begins at the 20th of March. Anyway, for the poor farmer or the sheep farmer, this spring begins is somewhat extemporaneous, because we can have very, very inclement weather in March. Storms whip in from the Atlantic, bringing blustery showers of wind and rain, and lowering the temperatures. And at other times, the wind comes in from the east, bringing bitter cold, snow and ice. And then we've seen that in 2018, when the so-called beast from the east came in and caused the snow to drift, and a lot of farmers lost their sheep and lambs in these snow drifts. So for that reason, we at home prefer to lamb our sheep outdoors in April. And April is a lot more kinder month weather-wise. The days are longer, the temperatures are that bit warmer. We get a sense that spring or that summer is on the way. Now, the gestational period of a sheep is 152 days. So that's when we usually get our calendar out and pick out, mark out the day when we want our sheep to lamb. And we count back 152 days at sometime in the mid-October, 1st of November type period. So that's when we introduce our ram. But first of all, we have to choose our ewes. So what kind of ewes that would be good to carry a lamb. So they have to be good mothers. They have to be big enough and healthy enough to carry a lamb. We have to sell all our older ewes that have served us well in the past. And we introduce some newer stock, what we call hoggets. They would be the previous year's lambs, and they would be first-time mothers. And I've heard an Australian farmer refer to these as working girls, but that's his little name for them anyway. So we introduced a ram den, and this for me has always been a bit of an adventure. Well, pre-COVID times usually involved looking at ads in Dundee, going to far off exotic places in East Galway and Roscommon like Craig's and Caltra and Mount Bellier, and just to source a ram. So the ram has to be kind of standing proud, bright eyes, a kind of a regal head. He can't be too old, but he can't be too young either. He can't be too inexperienced. He has to have not be lame, and from me personally, he can't be too big, because if he's too big, well, his progeny will be too big, and the yoke would have difficulty lambing. So for me, that's a personal preference, that I don't want the ram too big. So once I have those things, that preparation made, I have to go cap in hand to my boss and ask him or her for 3 weeks off in March or April. And they'd usually say to me, "Oh, you must be planning the trip of a lifetime. You must have a grand holiday planned for yourself. Are you going skiing? Is it a sun holiday? Is it some other trip of a lifetime?" To which I'd say, no, I'm doing the lambing at home. So, and then I'd say under my breath, I'm probably working harder there than I would be at this job. But anyway, that's I don't admit that to them. And then for the 3 weeks, it's kind of a very mental and physical battle. Who would have thought that she'd keep you awake at night? You're up late at night, early morning, watching them. Physically, it's quite hard work, because you always have something in your hand. You're either carrying a ewe or a lamb or a gate or water or hay, because you're attending to the sheep all the time. I had a step counter once, and I pushed up about 20,000 steps per day. And that's just typical of the 3 weeks. And it's a kind of a very draining, if rewarding, period of time. But you do have the hard luck stories that for whatever reason, you do have losses, and it is heart-wrenching when you lose a lamb despite your best efforts. But then I contrast that with days like we just had last weekend, where the sun was shining down, the lambs were just basking out in the field, taking up all the rays of sunshine, and were running around in circles around the field. And some of them were just jumping up and down, just for the sheer joy, sheer delight, and the pure innocence and joy of it. And then sort of times like this, you realize, you forget all the hardship, and you just realize, I'll do the same next year. I'll let out the ram next October. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, David, for that wonderful speech. I'd like you all to take 1 minute just to give some feedback to David. And if Martina could let us know when that minute is up. Thank you.
1 minute, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Madam Timer. Now we go to our next item of the evening, which is our second speech. And our second speech is by Samesh Kumar, and it's been evaluated this evening by Joseph Connor. Now, I also asked Joe the same question: what fear have you not yet conquered, and how do you plan on dealing with it? And Joe comes back and says, ladders. I loathe and fear them. I plan to use them as little as possible. Give me a rock face to climb any day. They have less propensity to wobble, topple over, and kill you. So thank you very much for that, Joe. So I am going to pass it over now to Joe, and Joe is going to give us the objectives of Samesh's speech.
Thank you. Sorry, I was in the wrong window and couldn't mute myself. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Now, God, this isn't working very extemporaneously. Right. So, Samesh, you're giving us a speech called The Only Constant, and the purpose of your speech is for you to practice developing a change management plan. And the other purpose of your speech is for you, the member, to share some aspect of that change management plan with us here tonight. And I understand that you have, I can say, 5 to 7 minutes, and I have no idea how I'm going to evaluate you on this one. This one is new territory for me. But anyway, we'll give it our best shot. So very best of luck to you, Samesh. Madam Toastmaster.
Instruction.
And with a speech entitled, if I can find it now, I've lost it here. The only constant, I think of what it is, it's vanished off the screen for me. The only constant, Samesh Kumar, The Only Constant.
Hello, Toastmaster members. I have a question for you. Do you think change is a fact of life? There is nothing that does not change. Everything changes. How many agree? Looks like majority agree that everything changes. I wanted to share a presentation. The only constant in life is change. It seems a little bit contradictory, isn't it? Constant and change, but that's the reality. And managing change is something that we all have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. I wanted to talk to you about how I managed the change from agile to waterfall. In the last speech that I did, I had given much details in terms of what's the difference between an agile way of working and waterfall way of working. So in terms of the changes themselves, there are 3 different types of changes that can happen. The first is the transitional change. The transitions a company from one place to another, or an individual as well. We can even say individual. Then there is a developmental change, which is optimization of existing processes. And the most challenging change is the transformational change. Change in the fundamental concepts of how we operate. It's a paradigm shift. paradigm shift is something that is totally new way of looking at things. This is what we did when we did in the transformation in Ericsson. I wanted to go through the 7 R's of change management. This is very important to understand when we want to implement any change in organization. First is reason. Everyone should understand why the change is going to happen. Then we need to understand the risks. We need to understand who is involved in the change, who are affected, who are going to bring that change, who has actually raised that change, what are the returns that we are going to get from change, who is responsible for bringing about the change, and what is the relationship between the current way of working and the new way of working that will be introduced. A quick understanding of what changes we brought about in Ericsson. So earlier, the way of working was waterfall, which was one department handing it over to another department handing it over to another department. So the siloed way of working. So that's a kind of prime basis of waterfall. Whereas agile is a coordinated way of working. All the teams from different departments would come together and collaborate with each other. Empowering the teams is a very important part of agile way of working. The teams decide for themselves how they want to do. Of course, what the product should do is decided by the product managers. In terms of the implementation that we did, for our particular project, the reason was faster time to market. With agile, what we do is we do small chunks of delivery every 3 weeks, and it has to be deliverable to the customer. The customer immediately after 3 weeks sees a difference in their product. So faster time to market. The risk is that it's a transformational change, so the culture within the company has to change. The resources, the whole organization, because it's a transformational change. The change request is raised by the executive team. Returns of doing the change is that we are exceeding the demands of the customers. We're not only meeting, but we are exceeding. It's a responsibility of the whole organization, but the leaders have to lead and drive. And the relationship it's transformational, so it impacts everything else. This is quite an important part to understand the change curve. There is a grief cycle, and there is this change curve that happens within the company. So whenever we have to undergo any change, the first would be of denial and shock. Why I have to change, right? And then there could be a frustration. Then it could actually lead to a depression. Then we start experimenting new things, we decide, and then finally we integrate. The best example they give is in terms of, suppose I want to go to a meeting. I want to go and attend a meeting and the car is not working. I'm starting the car and the car is not working. So immediately I will deny. I will do something and I'll say that this car will work, but it will not work, right? Then I have anger. Then I try to do something, try to find a way out. I might even go into depression. And finally I'll accept. And then I'll find a solution. I'll say, okay, I'll call a cab and I'll go. Right? So, but all these states can happen quite quickly. Sometimes you could go from denial to acceptance in a second, or sometimes you could never go into acceptance. So these are the different changes that could happen. So in conclusion, this is the reason returns and responsibility were the main things that we learned. And the most important point to understand is the only thing that is constant is change. So we have to change and we have to be flexible to change. And sometimes it might be extemporaneous, sometimes it may not be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that very interesting and educational speech, Somesh. So if you could take 1 minute to give some feedback back to Somesh via WhatsApp or on the chat on Zoom, and I'd get Martina to time us for 1 minute, please.
1 minute, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much for that, Martina. So I'm going to ask Martina again, just another question. Martina, could you give us the speech time for each of the speakers, please?
Speaker 1, David's speech was 6 minutes 40 and Samesh was 6 minutes 43.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Are the evaluators ready?
Can you hear me, Deirdre?
Francis, yes, I can hear you, Francis. Are you ready to
Okay,
evaluate? Are you ready to evaluate David's speech? Francis, are you ready to evaluate David's speech? I can come back to you if you're not ready yet. Okay, I'll come back to you. Joe, could I ask you, are you ready to evaluate Samesh's speech?
Can you hear me?
Francis, I can only just hear you right now. I couldn't hear you before that.
I'm just cutting out.
Okay, I heard nothing until you said, can you hear me?
Okay, I'll start the evaluation and hopefully it'll stay right.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Carry on.
Okay, congratulations, David, on an excellent speech. And your speech was very
Francis, we've lost you again. I'm just going to send Francis a message to tell him we've lost him again. And I think when Francis comes back in again, I'll get him to log out and come back in again altogether just to see will that improve the quality of it. So I'm going to go now to Joe. Francis, can I get you to log out of it altogether and go back in again? Our Zoom master will let you in because we've missed everything except your first word. Maybe, great. Maybe Samesh, if you could help Francis out.
I'll do that.
Great, that's fantastic. Okay, Joe, I'll get you to do your report, please now. Thank you.
Oh, great. You get more time than this in the competition. Oh, dear. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And very well done, Samesh. Now, I'm really winging it because I haven't even managed to write anything into the form here. So let's just have a look through things. So, Samesh, one gets the feeling that you've done this one before. And it was a very, very polished speech and clearly a subject that you're very, very familiar with. And I know you've given us a speech on the agility model before, and it's quite interesting. One of the things very hard to do with a speech like this is that it pulls you in so much that you kind of forget that you're evaluating. And methodology-wise, I'm just going to talk about your delivery rather than anything else, how you connect with the audience. The first thing you did was you opened with a question, which is a great way to get engagement directly with an audience. It's very interactive, so it's a very good tool to use. Of course, you used straight away in your speech the rule of three, talking about the different types of changes, transitional, development, and transformational. See, I remember years ago when I first saw you speaking, you spoke so fast, and you've really slowed that down, and that has just improved the quality of your speeches to no end, because it just makes it easier for the information to sink in. So your pace is absolutely fantastic, and you do use the vocal variety available to you when you're speaking at a pace that's more relaxed for you and the listener. Eye contact as good as it can get over this medium. Gestures, that you are making very appropriate gestures with your hands there. look at anything further than that. So, in an unstable thing here. Audience awareness, I addressed that, the fact that you had that interaction with the audience early on, and you established a connection with your audience. You're absolutely comfortable as a speaker, and very interesting topic. So you shared everything that it said, either a realistic plan or a theoretical one. I think we can see that this is a study that you've done in your workplace. So this is a real life example, which adds, it's better to use a real example like this, because it adds a sense of veracity and buy-in from your audience, because they know that you have done this. So they believe in you more as a speaker. Now, as just the only thing I can pick up on for change is just your transitions on the slides. I think even though we're not doing this on a projector, if there was some way that you could click, but you had to lean in every time and your head filled the screen like Zardoz, and then you moved back out. But all in all, it was a fantastic speech. I really enjoyed it. I wish I didn't have to evaluate it, because then I could have enjoyed it more. So well done, Smash. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joe, for that evaluation. I'm going to go now to Francis and see, is Francis ready? Francis, are you ready? Can you unmute? Francis, can you unmute? I'm just going to type that to Francis. Okay, it's showing that Francis, I have put in that message and it said Francis is not in the meeting. Samesh, I'm just wondering, oh no, hold on now.
Oh no, I'm here.
Oh, you hear, yeah. I'm sending a message. Yeah, we couldn't, now we can hear you.
Okay. I just want to congratulate you, David, on what I would say an excellent speech. I've learned an incredible amount of lambing. You had good structure. I like the structure. You spoke about the difficulties that can happen. Even you were describing the RAM. That's the detail you used there, like it was good. And you talked about the highs and lows of lambing. You reflected on the joy of seeing the lambs jumping around, and that compensated for the various difficulties. I thought your hand gestures were good. And if there is a recommendation, you tended to rock from side to side. So what else is there?
Okay, I have messaged Francis again to tell him we've lost him, but I think he might be back. Are you back again, Francis?
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay, so I'm concluding now. I hope you didn't miss much. And your speech was very well researched, very well organized, and you presented with its purpose, and its purpose was very much achieved. It was without doubt, and I have to say, one of the best speeches I've heard when it comes to lambing. I learned an incredible amount about it.
Francis, you're gone again. I want to thank everybody just at this moment here who have been struggling with their internet, wandering in and out, and particularly Francis staying so steady and stable despite the fact that it's in and out. So well done to Francis and to everybody else who's experiencing these conditions. So now Martina has an interesting job. Martina, if you could give me the timing for Joe's evaluation and a guess of a time for Francis's.
So the timing for Joe's evaluation was 3 minutes 32. And for Francis, although a lot of the time, some of this time he wasn't able to speak, but the clock was going for 2 minutes 25.
That's fantastic, Martina. Thank you very much for that. Martina, can I ask you, have you, as part of your report, you've given us the times for the speeches, but as part of your report, have you anything to say about the timing for the table topics?
The table topics, there was very, can I just check, Madam Toastmaster, are you asking in relation to timings and that?
Timings. Yes.
Yeah, there was, I think only one topic that stayed under the 2 minutes. Everyone else went over the 2 minutes, that if it was a competition, I'm afraid you would all be disqualified. So, and I suppose it's just something that, that's why I downloaded these videos, because with topics and that's the whole point of us in Toastmasters, is first pay attention and to watch our timing and to stay within the clock. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Timer. It's good to get this feedback. It's good that we practice, even if we go a little bit over, and get reminded that we're going a little bit over, because competition is good for us and good for us to be doing it. But it's good to see that most people have kept within, say, the evaluation and within the speech time. So that's fantastic. So now I'm going to call on.
Sorry, Madam Toastmaster. Sorry, I must say that some of the speakers, they were within the extra 30 seconds, so within the 2.5 minutes. So it's incorrect for me to say that they would be disqualified. So just a correction on that.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Now some good news to bolster us up for the rest of the evening. I'm going now to our grammarian this evening, Siobhan, if you could have your report.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So I'm delighted to report that the word extemporaneous was used 7 times. And in relation to our crutch words this evening, it was quite impressive. There weren't that many. We had approximately 9 M's, ums, ahs. I grouped them together. Some other interesting ones are I suppose. I'm very guilty of this one myself, using I suppose. Also, so was used a few times. And this one made me reflect a little bit this evening. A few people used just to say, just to. And I think this is quite a weak way of saying something. And it's very common for us to use it. I think it takes away from the conviction of something. So maybe it's not the best term to use. So it's not just to say, just to comment, just do it. Just do it, don't say it, I think. But some lovely phrases that came up this evening: making friends with fear, the luxury of having time to think, enhancing Ireland's reputation. On a micro level, David mentioned in his speech, that's a lovely expression, I think. The beast from the east was mentioned. I loved that Australian term, the working girls for the lambs, was such a lovely description. Far off exotic places, that was so lovely, conjured up exotic images until you mentioned Craigs and Caltra and all those places. And the regal ram, yeah, that was wonderful. Who would have thought that sheep could keep you awake at night? I think that was such a clever, that made me laugh. It was such a clever reference to, you know, how we usually count sheep to sleep. It was very funny. So giving, yeah, even in some of the topics where some of the language was very simple but profound and important, I loved the simplicity of it. And I think that that matched the theme of the topics. For example, giving to others is good for you. So that was really well done by our topics master. And then in our second speech, I suppose the language was a little bit more technical, which was great and appropriate for the speech. And I love that quotation about change, that change is the only constant. So in summary, so I have to stop saying that, but in summary, I think just a recommendation to make there, that's an example of how I use just to, it's not good. A recommendation that I would like to make is, and we did a good job with this evening in general, in the place of using our M's and R's, is just taking that pause instead and going at a slower pace and being more, as Antoinette would say, mindful and in the moment when we're speaking. Well done, everyone.
Thanks very much, Siobhan, for that, your grammarian report. And we're now going to the final report of the evening. We're going to Anna for the General Evaluators Report.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Okay, let me begin. The room was ready. The room was ready before the participants, I suppose, joined, and almost all row holders were present by the time the meeting was supposed to start. But despite that, we did start a little late. No guests were present today, no guests were present today until a little bit later during the day when Catherine joined us. Our president was very well prepared and organized, and he really made an effort to begin the meeting on time, even though there was a lot of issues coming up at the start and we all kept kind of bringing something else up and preventing him from doing so. The virtual turned material gavel was a brilliant addition to the meeting, so thank you for that, Deirdre. Everyone was properly introduced by our Toastmaster of the evening. The team that Deirdre did introduce here was quite thought-provoking, I thought. All the roles were filled prior to the meeting, thanks to Somesh. They were also properly described and introduced both by the Toastmaster of the day and the role holders themselves. Our topics master checked time with the Toastmaster, which showed good planning, forethought, and preparation on your side, Antoinette. Well done for that. The purpose and timing of our table topics was properly explained as well. After introducing your role clearly, you swiftly moved on to the topic session, which was fantastic, I thought. Very, very well done. The topics selected were appropriate and covered relatable aspects of life. And despite several internet-related struggles, our topics master managed to pull off the topic session with grace, and she covered a lot of interesting issues. Our Toastmaster stayed on top of the timing during our topic session as well. So thank you very much for that, for keeping on track with that. The Toastmaster was engaging and entertaining throughout the entire meeting, and control was properly returned to the Toastmaster most of the time. And when it wasn't, it was properly taken back. Our Toastmaster kept the audience appraised of what she was doing at all times and where we were at with the meeting, especially in relation to the internet struggles. I also remember that you mentioned that you haven't performed this role in a while, Deirdre, so I just want to say that you seemed so at ease and so confident in taking back the gavel and giving it away, and I would not have known had you not mentioned it yourself 2 weeks ago, so fair play for that. In terms of our evaluators, our first evaluator introduced the first speaker by providing us with the objectives of his speech and the times for the speech. I'm afraid I didn't hear whether the title of the speech was actually mentioned by Francis, as the connection wasn't great, but the introduction was brief and effective, what I did hear of it, as it gave me an idea of what to expect from the speaker. So thank you very much for that, Francis. I know you struggled with your internet connection today. Our second evaluator gave us the title, the purpose, and the times of the second speech. This introduction seemed quite extemporaneous, so well done to Joe on delivering it so well. Both of our evaluators employed the sandwich technique, which was fantastic. Congratulations. Our first evaluator began on a positive note. I counted 9 positives from what I could hear, and there was 1 recommendation included, and the timing was perfect, even though we're not entirely sure what would have come of it at the end of the day. Our second evaluator was taken by surprise due to internet issues of our first evaluator. So Joe, congratulations on stepping up. You included multiple positives. I counted 8. There was 1 suggestion for improvement so that the speaker has something to work on for his next speech, which was very useful to the speaker. And your timing was a little bit off, but I'm sure you'll work on that next time. Our timer was very proactive with the virtual background. She even had the clock on screen for the participants, which was incredibly creative. The timer also delivered her report at the end, which was extremely useful in that we got to see how we got on with the timings of our impromptu speeches. And congratulations on such a genuine initiative, Martina. It was fantastic. I was really, really amazed. Finally, the grammarian. The report was clear, very informative, included many interesting phrases and vocabulary. I actually didn't know that I suppose is considered a crutch word. It is great to learn something new. Thank you very much, Siobhan. You've included a recommendation and you gave us something to work on. I, for one, will do my best to be more mindful and in the moment when I'm speaking from now on. All in all, every participant was engaged in the meeting throughout. Everyone vigorously applauded all speeches and performances, even those that were delivered extemporaneously. That concludes the general evaluation segment, and I would like to welcome back our Toastmaster of the day. Thank you very much.
Well done, Anna. I presume that's your first general evaluator report. Am I right? Yes, fabulous. Very, very comprehensive, very, very impressive. Something for all of us to aim for. So we have come to the end of the meeting. It's due to finish in 1 minute's time. So I want to just one quick quote before I hand you back to the president. And this quote is, I can't read exactly who has said it, but it is, I believe that bad things happen in life to teach us how to look at good things in a whole new light. And that's to continue on our president's theme for the evening. So passing the gavel back to Samesh.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster. You're so efficient, unbelievably efficient. It's not even 9:45. 5 more seconds for 9:45. Excellent. Such a great meeting. The only challenge I think at the moment we have is in terms of the members, the number of members in the club. And we are trying to address that through the speechcraft session that we are trying to have. And a few of our members here have volunteered. So thank you so much for that. We will be having the sessions every Monday, 8 o'clock from next Monday for 6 weeks. And we have 3 speechcrafters who have signed up. There are places for 2 more speechcrafters who can come and join us. And they will really benefit, as we have been benefiting from all these Toastmasters meeting. They will absolutely benefit whoever joins us for the speechcraft. Thank you so much for today's meeting. And before we conclude, I wanted to share the screen and let's discuss about the roles for the next meeting. We have got so much used to this second things coming up. When it takes time, it looks as if it's ages, isn't it? When things don't load up, it might be just 5 seconds or something, but it feels as if it is ages.
That's when you fill it with ums and ahs.
Just, but anyway,
And so I suppose.
11th May is our next meeting. And who wants to volunteer for Toastmasters role?
Stick me down for anything, Samesh.
I'm in the same position as Joe. Put me down for whatever you need.
I'd like
That's
to do,
it.
I'd
Whatever
like to
you
do
need,
speech, Samesh.
Speech. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martina.
I'm not available at the next night, Samesh.
Okay. Who else would like to volunteer?
And it's not all there, Samesh, you know, whatever role is going.
Would you like to try the general evaluator, David?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, John.
Grammarian.
I'll do evaluation, Samesh, if
Thanks.
you want.
Thanks, Siobhan. Okay, we can fill in the other roles later. One more thing